Welcome back. Let's start. So we are talking about the British expansionist policies. So 1757 to 1857, I told you that 60% of India had become British India. So 100 years of the company's rule. This is the 100 years of the company's rule that became British India. So 60% of India had become British India. So we have seen the conquest of Bengal, which was a very powerful state economically. Then Maratha, and we have seen the subjugation of Mysore also. So now we will look into some states like Punjab and the Sindh, and thereafter we will complete the expansion of the British during the company's rule. So Punjab. After disintegration of Mughal Empire, the state of Punjab was reconstituted by Ranjit Singh. Ranjit Singh had reconstituted the state of Punjab. But after death of Ranjit Singh, the British started interfering in the affairs of the state. British started interfering in the affairs of state. Mainly because of weak successor. The successor of Ranjit Singh was very weak, and this is the reason why British started interfering in the affairs of state. After death of Ranjit Singh, there were many rulers. But Dalip Singh, during the time of Dalip Singh, the ambition of the British had increased. Ambition of the British had increased. So the reason behind the first Anglo-Sikh War, the corrupt chiefs and officials found that, means in the government of Punjab, Dalip Singh was a minor. In his behalf, Rani Jindan was ruling over Punjab. So Dalip Singh was minor. And there were corrupt chief and officials found that the army would sooner or later deprive them of their power. So therefore, they tried to engage the army in war with the British. So PM Raja Lal Singh and Commander-in-Chief Tej Singh were secretly corresponding with the enemy. And then, although there was a unity between Hindus, Muslims and the Sikh, but because of their conspiracy, the war between the two was thus declared on 1845, and Punjab army was forced to concede defeat and sign a humiliating treaty. So this is the total facts that you need to take. That first Anglo-Sikh War, the corrupt chief and officials found that the army would sooner or later deprive them of their power and position. Deprive them of their power and position. Therefore, Prime Minister Raja Lal Singh and Commander-in-Chief Tej Singh were secretly corresponding with the English. Although there was unity between Hindus and the Muslims and the Sikh, but the Punjab army was defeated. Punjab army was defeated. and the Sikh was forced to concede defeat and sign the humiliating treaty, that is Treaty of Lahore. So in Treaty of Lahore, which was in fact a subsidiary alliance treaty, so Henry Lawrence was appointed at the Lahore to control the policies. Treaty of Lahore. Henry Lawrence was Henry Lawrence. So Dalip Singh was recognized as the Raja. So Jalandhar and Doab was also deeded to the British territory. So now Punjab became the protected state and the Sikh army was limited to the specified number. So 16 December 1846, another treaty was signed, giving the British resident at Lahore full authority over all matters in every department of the state. Moreover, the British were permitted to station their troops in part of the state. So British resident became the real ruler of the Punjab thereafter. British resident became the real ruler of the Punjab. Second Anglo-Sikh War. The main reason was the Sikh wanted to take the revenge. So Second Anglo-Sikh War, 1848. First major conflict during the period of Lord Dalhousie. And after the Treaty of Lahore, Rani realized the intention of the British So major causes was the Sikh Sardar were discontent with the British control over Punjab. Sikh army wanted to avenge the humiliation in the First War, and then treatment to Rani Jindan when she was removed from Lahore to Shekhpura on charge of conspiracy against the British regent. The immediate cause for the English company's invasion was the revolt of the Mulraj. The governor of Multan, Mulraj, he was a Sikh governor. So Mulraj revolted. So these are the four major factors, but Rani Jindan had realized the intention of the British. Rani Jindan was already removed from Lahore to Shekhpura on charge of conspiracy against the British regent. On charge of the conspiracy against the Mulraj, the governor of Multan. So outcome of the war, Dalhousie annexed Punjab under the Treaty of Lahore. Rani Jindan was pensioned off. She was sent to England. Raja Dalip Singh also. And then Punjab became a British province. Patiala and some other states retained their rulers after recognized sovereignty of the British, and Punjab became part of the British Empire. So this is how the Punjab was captured by the British. There is a question. Third Anglo-French War, Karnataka became the protected territory. Karnataka did not become protected territory. It is the French territory. Karnataka was not a French territory. Karnataka was ruled by the ruler of Karnataka. And First Anglo-Mysore War, because Karnataka was to be there with the British, otherwise British would not able to connect Madras with the Bengal. So British wanted to take control over Karnataka in order to connect Madras with Bengal. Karnataka was ruled by Nawab of Karnataka. Why Indian rulers failed to conclude treaties on their terms? So internal disunity among the rulers and the pressure of the British and economic dependency on the British was the major reason. Many Indian rulers had individual trade with the East India Company. Now in present days also, supply chain matters a lot. So all the Indian rulers individually they were dependent on the British. Therefore, the reason was that they could not go to certain extent beyond the opposition. So that's gradually their economic dependency and others had finally led to the conclusion of the ideas, and then they became a subjugation to the British. So Punjab became a British province. So how the Punjab was captured? It was a very factual thing. There's nothing so much calculative in the Punjab. So Punjab was captured by the East India Company. So now one more state, Sindh. Sindh was economically and strategically very important. Sindh was economically and strategically very important. Sindh was ruled by Amir. So Amir of Mirpur was most powerful ruler. Amir of Mirpur was most powerful ruler. And he was very keen to have treaty with English. So Amir of Mirpur. British wanted to expand towards Sindh. As a part of the forward war policy. Sindh was economically very important and strategically. Strategically because if there is any invasion from the northwestern side, so Sindh will be the buffer state, and British wanted to control over the Sindh so that the war would not take place in the British territory but beyond the British territory. This is what is called forward war policy. So Sindh was very important in the sense that it would serve the purpose of British forward war policy, that in case Russian invaded over Sindh, the war will not be in the territory of the British but beyond the territory of the British. So the British tried to increase the influence in the Sindh. So forward war policy. There was apprehension of the invasion of Russia. There was apprehension of the invasion of Russia. Apprehension of the invasion of Russia. Russia may take opportunity to invade over India through Russia and Afghanistan. Therefore, British concluded treaty with the Sindh, that is the ruler of Hamirpur. So British concluded treaty with the Sindh, and in this treaty the roads and river of the Sindh was opened for the British. Roads and river of the Sindh was opened for the British. This was a treaty in 1832. British concluded treaty with the Sindh, that is a ruler of Mirpur. Roads and rivers of Sindh were opened for the British. In 1839, this treaty was converted into subsidiary alliance treaty. Subsidiary alliance treaty. This treaty was converted into subsidiary alliance treaty. After this treaty, British soldiers was placed in the Sindh. British soldiers was placed in the Sindh. There was guarantee of territorial sovereignty. There was guarantee of territorial sovereignty of Sindh. There was guarantee of territorial sovereignty of Sindh. Despite this, in 1843, Sindh was annexed. Sindh was annexed in British province. Sindh was annexed in British province. Charles Napier, the British resident, is a mastermind. So Charles Napier, the British resident, he sent a message to Lord Ellenborough. Lord Ellenborough, he was Governor General. So he sent a message to Lord Ellenborough. I have Sindh. SIN is in bracket and then D. I have Sindh. I have Sindh. So he wrote in his diary that I have Sindh. (1843). So British government understand, the company government understand that it is totally illegal because treaty was not to annex the Sindh. But despite this agreement, the Sindh was annexed. And Lord Ellenborough, he sent a message that I have Sindh. Lord Ellenborough, Charles Napier, he wrote in his diary. Charles Napier, he wrote in his diary, look at the statement of Charles Napier. He wrote in his diary, he wrote in his diary, "We have no right to seize Sindh, yet we shall do so, and a very advantageous, useful, human piece of rascality it will be." Very advantageous, useful, and human piece of rascality it will be. We have no right to seize Sindh, yet we shall do so, and a very advantageous, useful, human piece of rascality it will be. So this is how Sindh was annexed. The Lord Ellenborough was the Governor General. During his time, Sindh was annexed. Lord Ellenborough. So we have no right to seize Sindh, yet we shall do so, and a very advantageous, useful, human piece of rascality it will be. So Lord Ellenborough was the masterman who created the atmosphere for the annexation of Sindh. So after this capture of Sindh, now we can understand that 57, this is the beginning of the British period, and till 1857 the East India Company was ruling over India, and then in these 100 years East India Company definitely had created a 60% of India that should be called as a British Empire. So now let us discuss about the policies of expansion or the British expansionist policies in these 100 years. So British expansionist policies in 100 years of the company's rule. 100 years of the company's rule. British expansionist policies in 100 years of the company's rule. So British expansionist policies in 100 years of the company's rule. Let me see one by one what are the policies that British had adopted. This is summarization of what we have done in the last hours. (1757 to 1857). The first policy was policy of control by economic means economic control and then gradually the political control. Economic control and gradually the political control. For example, we have the Bengal. Bengal is the finest example where we have the economic control and then political control. Bengal. Economic control and the political control. Second, policy of indirect subordination. Indirect subordination. Policy of indirect subordination, which is also called subsidiary alliance. Policy of indirect subordination, or this is also called subsidiary alliance. Subsidiary alliance. Policy of indirect subordination or subsidiary alliance. So what is this policy? Let's talk about this policy. What are the terms of the subsidiary alliance treaty? So what is subsidiary alliance? First, you note down here all the points. Subsidiary alliance. Dupleix, the French governor, he was the first to interfere in the affairs of Indian state. French governor was first to interfere in the affairs of Indian state. French governor first to interfere in the affairs of Indian state. But practically it was implemented by Lord Wellesley. Practically it was implemented by British Governor General Lord Wellesley. British Governor General Lord Wellesley. Under this policy, the British Army was placed in the capital of Indian states. British Army was placed in the capital of Indian states. British Army was placed in the capital of Indian states. Fourth, a British resident was appointed. British resident was appointed So British resident was appointed in the capital to look after all the administration. British resident was appointed in the capital to look after all the administration. All the administration. Fifth, entire expenditure of soldier and the resident was the responsibility of princely estates. Of the soldiers and the resident was the responsibility of princely estate, means native estates, Indian estates. There was no economic relation of this treaty. There was no economic relation of this treaty. Fifth point is, entire expenditure of the resident and the soldiers was the responsibility of princely estates. And sixth is, there is no economic relation of this. No economic relation between British and the princely and the Indian estates. Seventh point, by this policy, British commanded entire foreign and domestic policy of the Indian state. British commanded entire foreign and domestic policy of Indian states. Entire foreign and domestic policy of Indian states. The design of the British policy, the design of subsidiary alliance was made. The design of the subsidiary alliance was made keeping in view of threat of Napoleonic invasion over India. Napoleonic invasion over India. Threat of Napoleonic invasion over India. So this entire policy was designed as a threat of the Napoleonic invasion over India. And ninth is that Nizam of Hyderabad was the first state signed the subsidiary alliance treaty. Nizam of Hyderabad was the first state to sign the subsidiary alliance treaty. So, here the 9 bullet points of the subsidiary alliance. These all. We have questions from this segment in the prelims, mains all. So, be prepared with. So, subsidiary alliance, this is called a policy of indirect subordination. This is called policy of indirect subordination. So, these are the 9 points, 9 bullet points related to the subsidiary alliance treaty. The second policy was policy of indirect subordination, and we have dealt all the points related to the subsidiary alliance treaty. Third policy was policy of direct subordination. Policy of direct subordination. That is policy of war and conquest. Direct imposition of war. Policy of direct imposition of war. Policy of direct imposition of war. War and conquest. Like Maratha, like Sindh, like Punjab. These are the state direct declaration of the war. First they came into the subsidiary alliance and then direct imposition of war. Policy of direct subordination. So the state which was generally failed to succeed, so this is a direct declaration of war. Fourth factor. Policy of doctrine of lapse. Policy of doctrine of lapse. So doctrine of lapse policy is a very important policy. This is called policy of doctrine of lapse. Designed by Lord Dalhousie. So what is this policy of doctrine of lapse? Write some of the points of the policy of doctrine of lapse. What actually Lord Dalhousie he realized, he conducted survey also. The most of the Raja Nawab, they don't have their own child. They carry forward the state by adopting the child. They carry forward the state by adopting the child. So Dalhousie said that adoption is not a guarantee of succession. If you don't have your own child, your biological child or a legal child, the state will be incorporated in the British Empire. So therefore, the objective was to create the atmosphere so that the British would get extra territorial gain. So most of the Raja Nawab, they don't have their own child. I told you that why they don't have their child, this is not our discussion. But the thing is that Dalhousie made the policy, in case of absence of the rightful heir, then a state will be captured by British. So the state will be captured by British. So however, this is the plan of the British, but it was not a new plan, because much before Dalhousie, the Court of Directors had already implemented such policies. So what was this policy? That adoption is not a guarantee of succession. Adoption is not a guarantee of succession. Adoption is not a guarantee of succession. That means absence of rightful heir absence of rightful heir absence of rightful heir rightful heir absence of rightful heir the state will be annexed in British Empire. The state will be annexed in British Empire. Court of Directors in 1834. Court of Directors in 1834 had already annexed many states. Because of doctrine of lapse. Because of doctrine of lapse. Third, Rani Chennamma of Kittur revolted against this policy. She was first to revolt. Rani Chennamma of Kittur was first to revolt. Revolted against this policy. Rani Chennamma of Kittur. Revolted against this policy. Lord Dalhousie (1848 to 56). Lord Dalhousie. He practically implemented made it a state policy with the name Doctrine of Lapse. So the name of Doctrine of Lapse was given by Lord Dalhousie. He annexed many states from Maharashtra to Madhya Pradesh to Orissa. He annexed many states. Satara, Jaipur, Sambhalpur, Bagat, Karauli, Jhansi, Nagpur. Many states was annexed. Udaipur. So many states was annexed. Satara, Jaipur, Sambhalpur, Bagat, Karauli, Jhansi, Nagpur, Udaipur. So many states. was annexed under this policy. Satara was the first state which was annexed by the Lord Dalhousie after coining the term doctrine of lapse. After coining the terms doctrine of lapse. So before Dalhousie, its court of directors had done some effort because there was no successor. So policy was made, but doctrine of lapse was practically implemented as a state policy by Lord Dalhousie. Revolt of Rani Chennamma, Kittur uprising. So these are the state policies, and we have the British Empire, and one more policy that is called policy of maladministration. Maladministration or misgovernance. Policy of maladministration or misgovernance. If a state was not governed properly by its ruler, then a state would be annexed in British Empire. If a state is not governed properly by its ruler, then a state will be annexed in British Empire. This is called policy of maladministration. So policy of maladministration, that state was not governed properly. So some part of the Sikkim and annexation of Awadh both came under the policy of maladministration. If state was not properly governed by its ruler, then the state would be annexed in British Empire. So the part of the Sikkim and the Awadh, these two states was annexed under this policy. So we have the five policies that define the expansion of British Empire, and the 60% of India had become British India. So policy of direct subordination, policy of doctrine of lapse, policy of maladministration. Maximum expansion of British Empire had taken place because of the policy of doctrine of lapse. So unwarranted expansion, and that ultimately the 60% of India, when you talk India, means Indian subcontinent, and then 60% of India became British India. And credit for that goes to East India Company. East India Company in this so policy of doctrine of lapse. So British expansionist policies. Look, So how the company was under the guidance of the government means ever since East India Company transformed into political power, long struggle. I have given the timeline. So almost 150 years company was a trading organization. Company gradually had developed from a purchaser of the Indian goods to the manufacturer of Indian goods, and then handicraft was the main item that company was initially purchasing. Now handicraft was now purchased by the company, now manufactured by the company, and then the company had dominated over the economic system. So 1757 a trading organization turned into political power, and thereafter the approach of the British government towards the company had also changed. Company was initially given the charter for trade and commerce, but though the company had involved in the political and administrative affair. So therefore the British government will have to redefine the relation between company and the government. So we have seen the circumstances, and I have told you the story of debt, that how the Regulating Act of 1773 was passed. So once the Regulating Act of 1773 was passed, so idea became quite open that now the British government will interfere in the affairs of the company. Very logical also, because company had no idea of administration, and the company was taking care of administration of Bengal. So British government had started guiding them, and the Regulating Act of 1773 was passed. Subsequently, many acts were passed, and by 1857, by the revolt of 1857, you will see that after each and every act, the control mechanism of the Indian governing system via company was actually managed by British Parliament, British government. So British government was indirectly governing India, keeping the company in front. So we will discuss about that what are the laws made by British Parliament to govern the company. So you can give the heading the constitutional development during the company's rule. Constitutional development during the company's rule. Constitutional development during the company's rule. East India Company. Constitutional development during the company's rule. East India Company. So from 1757 to 1857, what are the process that went into? So I told you the circumstances, and we have laid down also that what led to the rise of. So therefore we have a Regulating Act. (1773). Regulating Act of 1773. And we have finalized some of the points related to the Regulating Act. I hope you remember all these points. That Court of Directors was taking the appointment. Then no question of any gift or the bribes. And the main point was that Governor of Bengal became Governor General of Bengal. Governor of Bengal became Governor General of Bengal. Governor General Council was created with 4 members. All the 4 members will be appointed by British Parliament. And then A Supreme Court was created at Calcutta. Lord Impey was the first Chief Justice. So restructuring the management of the company as per the directives of the British government. And British government will also interfere in the administrative affair of the company. So the Regulating Act of 1773 was passed. Now, after Regulating Act of 1773, Pitt's India Act. (1784). Pitt's India Act 1784. Pitt was Prime Minister of England. So he introduced that bill. So Pitt's India Act 1784. This is the second big act passed by the company, by the British government to monitor the company. So first was that Regulating Act. Second was the Pitt's India Act. So in Pitt's India Act, Board of Control was created in London. Board of Control was created in London. Board of Control was created in London with 6 members. Six members. So this is the highest body to govern the activities of company. Board of Control was created in London with 6 members, and this was the highest body to govern the activities of company. Six members. Board of Control was created in London. Second, the member in the Governor General Council, Governor General's Council, that was 4. Now it was reduced to 3. So member in the Governor General Council was reduced to 3. Only 3 members will be there. The reason was that Governor General should take free hands or more decisive. Before that, the Governor General had to manage at least 2 members to carry out any decision. But after this, the Governor General can take only 1 member in the consent and thereafter can proceed with the decision. So Governor General Council, the member was reduced to 3. Reduced to 3. Just to make Governor General more decisive. Just to make Governor General more decisive. So this is a Pitt's India Act 1784. Governor General's Council was reduced to 3 just to make Governor General more decisive. Then third point, important points. Third is the Act of 1786. 1786. I have discussed this act during the time of Anglo-Mysore War. Under what circumstances that Governor General Lord Cornwallis had got the military power. So Act of 1786. So in the Act of 1786, The Governor General got the real power. Governor General got the real power. Real power. Lord Cornwallis. He was made Governor General as well as military commander of company's forces. Military commander of company's forces. So now the post of military commander was included in. Now the post of military commander was included in Governor General. So the post of military commander was included in Governor General's council. Act of 1786. Then look at the Act of 1786. Then fourth point is the Charter Act of 1813. Charter Act of 1813. So Charter Act means the amendment in the charter. Amendment in charter means that charter was given to the company way back 1600 that East India Company will be the only company of England having trading right with the East or the India. This is the reason why it's called East India Company. So East India Company is the only company of England having trading right with the East and India. So this charter provided the monopoly to the East India Company. So what happened after 1800? The industrial revolution of England had reached to the stage of production. There were many companies involved in this. So therefore, these companies needed raw material. These companies needed market for their finished product. So therefore, they started putting pressure on the government to amend the charter so that the doors of India will be open for them. Secondly, that the Adam Smith, the father of economics, you might have seen the laissez-faire principle. The state should not interfere in the affairs of this trade. So therefore, the free trade concept was popularized. So therefore, after 1800, there was a momentum in England to amend the charter. And at the same time, the company also had a bigger role regarding, till now company was trying to arrange as an administrator, but now company will have to go for the social and cultural activities as well, educational policies as well. So there are many fundamentals which was changing after the 50 years of the conversion. 1757 Battle of Plassey Company became the political power. Company had already taken indirect control in many parts of India. So therefore the company wanted to change its nature, and that is the reason why the charter was amended. So these are the fundamentals that why you can say the Charter Act of 1813. It was a milestone in the affairs that now company's role will be very much taken by gradually by British Parliament. So here Charter Act of 1813. In Charter Act of 1813, first point, monopoly of East India Company was abolished. Monopoly of East India Company was abolished, and British Parliament had taken direct control over India. British Parliament had taken direct control over India. First point. Check it again. First point. Company's monopoly was abolished, and the trading activities was taken. Trading activities was taken as per the free trade, not direct control, as per the free trade. So trading activities was taken as per the free trade. So monopoly of East India Company was abolished and trading activities was taken as per free trade. But tea trade and trade with China was still the monopoly of East India Company. Tea trade and trade with China was still the monopoly of East India Company. Tea trade and trade with China was still the monopoly of East India Company. Tea trade and trade with China. These two monopoly was retained, still there. Second point, ₹1,00,000 education budget was fixed. ₹1,00,000 education budget was fixed. Education budget was fixed. For promotion of English education. So 1,00,000 budget was fixed for promotion of English education on the recommendation of Charles Grant. Charles Grant. He is called the father of modern education in India. Father of modern education in India. Charles Grant. Father of modern education in India. On the recommendation of Charles Grant. Father of modern education in India. Third, Christian missionaries was officially permitted to operate in India. Christian missionaries was officially permitted to operate in India. Christian missionaries will play a role in humanitarian activities. Christian missionaries will play a role in humanitarian activities, that is educational and the social works. Educational and the social works. Fourth, this charter was only for 20 years. After 20 years, there will be a revision of charter. There will be revision of charter. This charter was only for 20 years. After 20 years, there will be revision of charter. After 20 years, there will be revision of charter. Charter Act of 1813. So after 20 years, there will be another charter. Charter Act of 1833. Another charter will be Charter Act of 1833. Charter Act of 1813. So in Charter Act of 1833, complete abolition of monopoly. Abolition of monopoly. That means the tea trade and trade with China was also taken back, also abolished. So complete abolition of monopoly. That means the tea trade and trade with China was also abolished. Second point, Governor General of Bengal now became Governor General of India. Governor General of Bengal became Governor General of India. I hope you remember the Regulating Act, no doubt in this, that in Regulating Act what we have seen, that there was Bombay, Madras and Bengal. Here there was a governor, here governor, and here we have made the Governor General of Bengal. Warren Hastings was the first Governor General. So this Governor General had power only in the respect of war, peace treaty, and land revenue. Look at the regulating act, land revenue. But now this governor got the law-making power also, law-making power. So once this governor got the law-making power for other presidencies, so they call Governor General of India. So we call Governor General of Bengal as a Governor General of India because this governor got the law-making power for other presidencies also. This governor got law-making power for So Governor General of Bengal had become Governor General of India because the law-making power was also given to other Governor General of Bengal. So Lord William Bentinck was the first Governor General of India. Governor General of India. Lord William Bentinck became the first Governor General of India. Third, a law member was added in the council. Law member was added in the council of Governor General. Now total law member became again 4. Law member was added in the council of Governor General. Since he got the law making power, so in the law making agencies, so there should be assistance to make the law. So Governor General got the another member in the council to assist in making the laws, and that was law member. And Lord Macaulay, he was the first law member. First law member. Lord Macaulay was a first law member. So this charter was for 20 years, and after 20 years there will be revision of charter. After 20 years there will be revision of charter. So this charter will be now 20 years. Again there will be revision of charter. And sixth is Charter Act of 1853. In the Charter Act of 1853, separate appointment of Governor of Bengal. Separate appointment of Governor of Bengal. Separate appointment of Governor of Bengal. So what is the meaning of that? Separate appointment of Governor of Bengal. This is three big presidencies here. So now there will be governor, governor of Bombay, governor of Madras, and governor of Bengal, plus Governor General of India. So earlier this Governor General had to perform the power of Governor of Bengal also, equivalent to other governors. But now equation become 3 governor plus 1 Governor General. So now Governor General became the boss in real sense, not equivalent to other governors. Not equivalent to other governors. Not equivalent to other governors. So Governor General of India. So 3 plus 1. So separate appointment of Governor of Bengal. So now 3 governors and 1 Governor General of India. So Lord Dalhousie, he was the real Governor General with independent power. Real Governor General with independent powers. Real Governor General with independent powers. So Lord Dalhousie, the Governor General, Lord Dalhousie, the real Governor General with independent power. With independent powers. Second, expansion of the council and it was to be made Imperial Legislative Council. Imperial Legislative Council. Imperial Legislative Council. So expansion of Imperial Legislative Council. Expansion of council, now it became Imperial Legislative Council, that is to be made a functional Imperial Legislative Council. Third, examination system for appointment of civil servants. Examination system for appointment of civil servants in India. And now ICS, this is called ICS. An examination to be held in London. Examination to be held in London. Examination to be held in London. Indians were also permitted to appear in examination. So here started the problem of your life, that examination system to be held in London, and Indians were also permitted to appear in examination. Indians were also permitted to appear in examination, that is strictly in London. So examination in London. So this is the Charter Act of all the acts that we can see. In between the graph, all the acts are there. 1793, there was one more Charter Act, not so significant, nor the Charter Act of 1793, so much not significant, but now no company's officer can leave India without permission. And secondly, all the expenditure of the Board of Control was charged on company. Even member of the British Parliament will be given by the company. So these are the act passed. Yesterday I have given a question that in the second half of the 18th century, Bengal was a plundering state as well as a sponsoring state. Then you have to write this question. I supposedly expected that you'll write that in 1757, the East India Company transformed into political power. The transition from trading organization into political power. And then subsequently, company had a very different role to play in India. But victory of Plassey and the victory of Buxar giving them added advantage. You write in the first paragraph the consequence of the Battle of Plassey, that how company managed the control of trade. Robert Clive was a big beneficiary. All the demands of the company was met. The drain of wealth from India had started. Robert Clive got a personal gift of 24 Pargana. Clive was authorized to appoint the Nawab of Bengal. So this is how the Plassey plunder, uninterrupted exploitation of the trade had started. Then we'll come to the Battle of Buxar and subsequently Treaty of Allahabad. write all the terms of the Treaty of Allahabad for both the rulers, Shujauddaulah and then Shah Alam II. Diwani right was the biggest right. This is a right to collect the land revenue. Then you will move to the third slot, and that slot will be as per the point in program. So divide the answers in this segment. Divide the answers in this segment. The first, that is the plunder part, and second, sponsorship. So when we'll come to the sponsorship means what? Whatever the exploitation made from Bengal, the company had utilized in the other expansionist policies, like capture of Maratha, capture of Mysore. From where this war expenditure is coming? That is from the exploitation of Bengal. And the third paragraph will come that there was uninterrupted plunder. The capital was drained from India to England. So the requirement of the industrial revolution was raw material and the capital. From where it is coming? It is coming from Bengal itself. So Bengal is sponsoring many things, and then that is how you can write this question. The question of yesterday which provide you, please kindly discuss the answer briefly once again. Yes, this is the way that you can write the question. I hope now, after I have to explain this question twice. So this question was only for the 150 words. So be very concise in putting the facts. And just look, answer writing, this is an art. The first time you'll write yourself, not satisfied, then you get it corrected by the mentor. Second time, third time, but once you started calculating the point yourself, then enough all the points you can be right for the other answers also. So self-evaluation is the best method. And what is Macaulay-Minute? Macaulay-Minute we will discuss when we will talk about the educational system of India. I told you that in the Charter Act of 1813, first time the education budget was prescribed. So education budget was prescribed, that means company was about to interfere in the educational system. But there were many fundamental problems in implementing the educational policies. What are the problems? Like that, what should be the medium of communication, medium of education? English or the vernacular language? Sometimes we call the Oriental language, Arabic, Persian or Sanskrit. So this has to be finalized before going for any operational mode for the educational services. Then secondly, who would be the agency of education? Whether you go for the scientific learning of the West. So these are the problems was inbuilt in implementing the. We will study in detail about these things in the educational policy of the East India Company. Then you will find that 1833 Lord William Bentinck, he appointed a committee that is called General Committee on the Public Instruction under Lord Macaulay. And Lord Macaulay, you understand, he was a great Anglicist. Lord Macaulay said that a single bookshelf of European library is more worth than entire literature of India and Arabia. So you can understand the psychology of the Lord Macaulay, that how much intentionally involving with that, the English education. So Lord Macaulay will go ahead with the same thing. So the Lord Macaulay, Anglicist, great Anglicist. So intentionally he was telling such thing. So entire means the one bookshelf of European library is more worth than entire literature of India and Arabia. So Lord Macaulay, he presented the Manute in 1835. In this Macaulay Manute, he said that English should be the medium of communication. So English should be the medium of education. And secondly, he said that no need to teach the entire masses. Do not take the responsibility of education for all, but educate the top strata of Indian society. And then English will infiltrate itself downward. This is called infiltration theory. So under these two guidance, now the education system was India is about to take place. And this is called Macaulay Manute. In fact, the objective of Lord Macaulay was to create the brown Englishman. Brown Englishman, you understand, that the person look like Indian, but the taste thought is English. Fine, this is how the acceptability of British rule in India would increase. And that is all about the Macaulay Manute was. So I think you are enough to write these answers, and then Tipu Sultan. You are asking that Tipu Sultan, how? I think I have explained this Tipu Sultan part. Let me check in the previous session. No problem, I am just pointing it again. That Tipu Sultan, I told you that after 4th Anglo-Mysore War, we have discussed how Tipu Sultan was father of modern Mysore. Tipu Sultan, although he was a king, but he was very passionate about the people's mandate. And Tipu Sultan, he was very much influenced by the French Revolution. French Revolution was about republicanism, and understand the republicanism is all about the elected head. And here Tipu Sultan is a monarch. So contradiction was there, but despite this, he supported the French Revolution because he believed in the people's mandate. Since it was general political system in India to be a monarchy, so he was a monarch, but he actually genuinely concerned for the support of the people. And secondly, I told you that he became a member of the Jacobean Club. So Jacobean Club, there was a church in France, Jacob. We will study in world history. So Jacob Church. In this church, you'll find that all the members, those are the members of that church, they were staunch republicanists. So therefore, in order to express solidarity with the French Revolution, he became member of the Jacobean Club, and at the same time, he planted a tree of liberty, the three great ideals of the French Revolution: equality, liberty, and fraternity. So therefore, he planted tree of liberty there, and that is the reason why he had so much adherence to the French revolutionary ideas. Okay, so French revolutionary ideas. Okay, then I told you that he established the modern embassies. But since since Mysore was always in the lobby of the anti-English and with the French, so in world politics also, Tipu Sultan tried to associate Mysore in the global platform. So modern embassies was established with Turkey, with Iran, Burma, and of course France. So all anti-British forces in the world. All these things we have discussed in the previous session. I hope you have written it. And then he introduced the modern weight and measurement method, the kilometer, meter, Gregorian calendar, January, February. And then I told you that he generously donated for the reconstruction of Sarda temple, right? Sarda temple is, Sarda is a goddess of learning. Saraswati we call in northern India, and Sarda is also name. So there was a temple in Sringpatnam, the capital of Mysore, the Sarda temple. And he generously donated fund for the reconstruction of Sarda temple, right? So these are the things that you can say that how his idea was quite different from the rest of the rulers. So he is rightly called as a father of modern Mysore. So check the videos and the first slot that we have discussed and write all these things. One more question. Jacobean Club, I told you there is a church in France, Jacob, and those were the member of that church. They had a very strong affiliation for the republicanism. So in French Revolution, we'll see there is monarchy versus republicanist. So Jacobians were drawing inspiration from the republicanism. So this Jacobean Club is a member of those who are the member of that church. One more question, sir, if Treaty of Allahabad with Shuja-ud-Dawla all terms at the world limit, no need to write all these things. Look, try to concise the word. First treaty 1765, Shuja-ud-Dawla. You will say that Allahabad and Kara was taken away from the Nawab with imposition of indemnity. That's it. And then you come to the second Treaty of Allahabad. That was very important because the Shah Alam II gave the Diwani right, the right to collect the land revenue. And this is the biggest right because this land revenue was the most consistent source of income. That is how you define it. Okay. So try to concise the word in writing this. I've given you. If this is a 150 words, don't write more than 20 words in introduction. Otherwise, you have left with very small paragraph to write it. So don't write this. So directly switch over the plunder part. Change the paragraph. Sponsorship. Anglo-Maratha, Anglo-Mysore. Reference just that in the second half of the 18th century, these are the wars taking place. And then from where the expenditure of the war is coming, it's from Bengal. And then third paragraph. The industrial revolution was entering in the age of production. So raw material and capital required. This is the basic need of the industrial revolution. And therefore, from where this is coming? This is coming from Bengal. So this is the way that you can write the answer. So go ahead with this and then we'll continue from here. That is the Charter Act of 1853. Now tomorrow we'll start a fresh chapter. Either we'll go for the economic history of India or the socio-religious reform movement. In priority, we'll go for the socio-religious reform movement. And then before revolt of 1857, we'll finish all these things. Thereafter, nationalism and national movement. Okay, so thank you for the day. And that's all. We will see you tomorrow sharp. Thank you.